You're listening to Murder Not Murdering with Erin,
and Autumn,
a true crime podcast about murder and murdering.
but we are not murderers. Today, we are here gathered to listen to a podcast.
Thank you for that. Thank you. I'm so glad you explained that. I don't know what we would have done without it.
Honestly, I don't know either. Sometimes I don't know what anyone would do without me.
Honestly. Can you hear Ravioli barking?
Mm-mm.
Good. Little asshole. Well, just 1 second. Sorry. I muted myself so you couldn't hear me yell.
When you first started, all I heard was motherfucker, and then it went silent, and then you went away, and then just were you yelling at Ravi then too?
No, I just accidentally hit the wrong button. I'm a professional.
We're so professional. People should hire us.
For what?
For what? I don't know.
Okay.
But we're available for hire.
Murder for hire. Just kidding. We don't do that
We
part.
don't
That's what we
murder.
talk about.
Yes, we talk about murders, but we don't actually murder.
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed the spooky ghost story I told last week.
I did. I know I did.
Because this week, have I got a ghost story for you?
You have another ghost story?
It's not necessarily a ghost story, but at the end of it, there's a ghost connection.
That works too.
Yeah. I like to stay on the Halloween vibe.
I'm here for that.
It warms my black heart, and that's what matters.
Your black heart?
Yeah, dude.
She has the biggest heart ever. In fact, she would let just about anybody stay at her house if they needed it. She'd give the shirt off her back. So don't believe her if she
Do not tell people I am nice or caring.
But
You're ruining my street cred.
You do. You are.
Lies. All lies. I am nothing but empty and terrible.
No, you're not. Everyone knows that you're actually a really nice person.
Gross. All right, everybody. I go first this time.
Yes.
And I have a pretty exciting one that I hadn't heard of before, which is crazy because I love me some dismemberment, and boy, have I got a doozy.
I'm just along for the ride.
The fun thing is I always know that if I cover an old time dismemberment, we will never have the same case.
Never.
I know someone asked me the other day, how do you guys make sure that you're not doing the same one? And I'm like, well, we have very different styles. For those that haven't listened to our previous episodes, I usually like to stick to older crimes somewhere between 1850 to like the 1940s, 50s. And then Autumn does more of 80s and beyond. Now, we don't stick always in those parameters, but they are there because we both have our own tastes. I mean, that's not the right word, but we have our own types of murders we like. No, that's also not right.
We have
interest.
I would also feel like time
That's what
frames.
I was looking for.
You like really old time cases.
I like early forensics
cases.
too.
Yes. And I'm more of like 80s, 90s, early 2000s. Those are like my jam. So
yeah,
if she does a one in that time frame, she usually lets me know.
Yeah, just a little bit. We don't tell each other ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're getting is our real reactions in the moments. So when when I'm commenting on the case that Autumn might be talking about at the time or asking questions, that is sincerely what I am in the moment, because I think it's more authentic and it's more exciting for both of us to tell our cases.
Yes. And honestly, we've never even remotely done the same one. There's always like connections.
Did you start this, Autumn? Is it going to happen next week?
I'm just that powerful. But
See, we're
we have
witches.
connections, though. They always go together. So I'm very, I'm very interested to see what this one, if we have any connections, because
Yeah, we'll see. We did on the last one.
you'll have to find out the one I do, because you have no idea.
I
All
have
you
no
know
clue.
is there's no child in this one.
Well, that's good. That's comforting for me. So this week I am doing the New Orleans trunk murders. And I have done trunk
Ooh.
murders
I
before,
was
but
about
this
to
is
say,
completely new.
I honestly was like, a flash in my head. I was like, didn't she already do this
I
one?
did the Mahoney trunk murders,
That's
which
right.
it took place in Seattle. So
That's right. That's right.
that's a fun one. This is not in Seattle, hence the New Orleans part.
I would never have known.
Mm-hmm. All right. Here comes my Sophia Petrillo. Picture it. The French Quarter, New Orleans, 1927. Prohibition is active in the United States, but that doesn't stop the rowdy speakeasies from overflowing with jazz and booze.
Ooh.
They're jazzing and boozing, see? Anyway, after a slow rebuild from deterioration and neglect in the French Quarter, it's now filled with famous artists, musicians, and writers. And speaking of the residents in the area, our story starts with a married couple, Henry and Teresa Moidy, who lived together with Henry's brother Joseph and his wife Leonide at 715 Ursuline Street. Together, they have 5 children, and the combined family of 9 live in a 1,000 square foot, almost entirely unfurnished apartment.
I'm sorry, but they're living in 1,000 square foot apartment, 2 grown couples.
Mm-hmm.
That already sounds like a nightmare to me.
And children.
And children.
So it's
We
a
can't
lot.
forget the
It's a lot of
children.
family.
That is a lot in a small quarter.
Yes. They had moved to New Orleans from New Iberia, Louisiana. They were hoping to find more opportunity and financial success. Unfortunately for them, they were struggling. They strove to pay their rent, and there was hardly enough food for all of them to eat. Teresa and Leonide also worked, expressing frustration over having to manage their children while taking sewing jobs to bring in necessary cash. After separating from her husband, Joseph, Leonide continued to live with Henry and Teresa. And Henry was worried about her influence on his wife. Though they were having a hard time, they still managed to do a fair amount of drinking and partying, leading to arguments and suspicions of infidelity. In the 1920s, even people with modest means could afford housekeeping. The Moidys found this in Nettie Compass. On the morning of October 27th, 1927, Nettie opened the door to the second floor apartment only to be greeted by a very bloody scene. Just in the doorway, there were traces of blood. Nettie panicked, and in her frantic yells for help, 2 men arrived and called the police. One of the responding men tipped off a local reporter, George William Healy. In his 1976 memoir, Healy described their discovery. We found red stains on the floor and saw a large trunk in the bedroom, partially opened. When I opened the trunk lid, a woman's body, arms, and legs severed from the torso were exposed.
Ooh.
Healy borrowed a neighbor's telephone, requesting a second reporter before suggesting it might be appropriate now to alert the coroner. When the
Oh, you think?
Yeah. When the coroner and Healy's female colleague Gwen arrived, he said she charged into the apartment and cited several objects on a bed. "Look," said Gwen, holding up the objects. "Lady fingers." 4 fingers had been cut from a woman's hand. After placing the fingers back on the bed, Gwen moved to a second bedroom, found a second trunk, and opened it. It contained another woman's body. Dr. George Rowling, the New Orleans parish coroner, told reporters that the killer or killers bludgeoned the women with a billy club before using a machete or a knife to decapitate them and amputate their arms and legs. Resting on the torso was a bloodied cane knife, of the type used on sugar plantations. The lady fingers that Gwen found were discovered to have belonged to Teresa Moidy, whose missing wedding ring was later retrieved from a gaping wound in the back of her neck. There was also a gold bracelet that still hung delicately from the wrist of an arm. Clumps of hair laid on the floor. There were blood-soaked mattresses where the victims had laid. Severed fingers were on the floor, and the bathroom was covered in blood. The women's personal effects were strewn about. The clothing investigators believed had been tossed from the trunks to accommodate the women's remains. Among these items was a manuscript in Leonides' handwriting, discovered in a hidden cabinet in her bedroom. Though filled with grammatical errors, its thinly veiled autobiographical story was written out as a personal letter, cautioning young women. She wrote, "Now to you readers, young girls especially, please think ahead of you and don't make the same mistake I've made, because it doesn't always turn out the right way. You can still be disappointed. Be careful, for marriage is a life sentence." The rejection slip from her submission to a popular confessions magazine laid in a pool of her own blood. One person was notably missing, Henry Moiety. Leonides' husband, Joseph, had turned himself in that evening, telling the investigators he believed his brother killed both the women. Joseph told police that he had recently moved in with his sister after catching Leonides with another man. Neighbors reported bitter fights over money, constant accusations of infidelity, and wild drinking bouts in the household. Henry Moiety was nowhere to be found. He was the main suspect. In addition to him being missing, the police found out that he also worked briefly as a butcher. The Times-Picayune news article pointed out that the manner in which the two bodies of women were mutilated and dismembered indicated that a man would be familiar with this trade. Radio dispatches alerted departing steamer ships to be on the lookout for a stowaway passenger answering to Henry's description. He was tattooed and, according to the newspaper, singularly hairy, which I'm not sure what singularly hairy means. Does he have like
Is there just like a spot
a
on
clump
him?
of hair? I don't
Yeah,
know.
like is it just like he has a mustache and no other hair, or like one eyebrow? Like
Or
I
just
mean,
like one pelt? He's
yeah,
just head to toe pelt? I don't
I'm
know.
very confused.
On Saturday, October 29th, 2 days after the women's bodies were discovered, crewmen of the freighter Gem reported Henry Moiety to the parish sheriff. Henry had begged his way onto the ship using a false name, but the crew recognized his tattoo from the newspaper stories about the crimes. At first, he maintained that the murders had been the work of a red-headed Norwegian seafarer whom he had been forced to assist.
Oh, I'm sure.
By Tuesday, November 1st, however, less than a week after the murders, Henry had made a full confession. So, no red-headed Norwegian slashing people up.
What a random description to choose as well.
I know.
Like you couldn't have chose like a brunette.
I feel like you want to be specific because that seems like it makes more sense if you're specific.
But like be more generic with what they look like.
I suppose.
A redhead is very noticeable.
In his confession, Henry detailed his motives for the killings, while also insisting that his mind was warped by alcohol. He was enraged over an affair he believed his wife was having with Joseph Caruso. Joseph was married and operated a real estate office from the ground floor of their building. Teresa and Joseph were pretty thick, Henry claimed in his confession to the district attorney. The November 2nd, 1927 Times-Picayune repeated portions of this confession, in which Henry alleges that Teresa and Caruso took friendly excursions on streetcars, scandalous, and carried out brazen flirtation under his nose, stealing hugs and passing notes in the darker corners of 715 Ursulines. In Henry's version of events, he was provoked to vengeance by Teresa's plans to leave him, in addition to her infidelities and neglect of the children. He also resented his sister-in-law, Leonides, for having what he perceived as a negative influence on his wife, since her husband did leave her, who was his brother, left her because she had an affair. The afternoon before the murders, he told the housekeeper, Nettie Compass, the woman who later discovered the victims, that he should take a pistol and shoot both of those bastards, referring
Whoa.
to the women.
Whoa.
Yeah. Later that evening, Nettie said that she saw Henry, Teresa, Leonide, and the children leaving the apartment in good spirits. Nettie testified that she remembered Henry pulling her aside and whispering, "Don't be scared if you hear the children crying in the early morning."
Oh my God.
Which is crazy, right? He just said he was going to shoot
Red
them. They left
flag.
all happy, and then he said that don't be surprised.
Yeah, no, I
Without
will be
elaborating.
surprised. I will be very worried and very surprised.
On the night of the murders, Henry returned home to find Teresa and Leonide packing their belongings into 2 large trunks. An enraged Henry began drinking heavily, then left to purchase the murder weapon. As it got to be later in the night, the Moiti women and the children retired to their beds while Henry paced restlessly, drinking and contemplating the hidden cane knife. In his confession to the district attorney, Henry admits that he considered killing himself and the children, but changed his mind when he imagined his wife running around with Joe Caruso and the rest of them. In a 1957 letter from a Louisiana State Penitentiary prison warden, Teresa is to have alleged flaunting a $10 bill in Henry's face and bragging that she could make more in an hour as a lady of the night than he could make in a week. According to Henry, he quietly went into the bedroom, stood over the sleeping form of Teresa, and he suddenly found himself swinging like a man possessed. He later recounted to the DA she didn't say a word or even move. She just relaxed and the blood rushed. Then he ran to Leonide's room. He struck her as she tumbled from the bed where she was sleeping. Afterward came the grim work of cutting up the bodies, and then Henry stuffed the woman into the trunks that they had only packed hours earlier. Now, just so you know, in all of my research, I never found out anything about what happened to the children.
Oh.
So the children were there and presumably sleeping in the beds with the moms.
Wow.
Just FYI.
And they weren't mentioned as being killed as well.
No. The children were fine, but there are photos of them in newspaper articles that I found. And the children, they're wearing dirty clothes. And one of the things that Henry talks about is that the moms neglected the children and they looked rough.
That makes sense.
Not saying it's okay to murder anybody.
No,
obviously.
no.
But I don't know what happened to the children after that.
Hopefully they went on to good homes.
They may have gone with Joseph, his brother, the other husband.
The one that
I don't
didn't
know.
kill those sisters.
No. The 2 murders were tried separately by different judges, which I found interesting. Parish coroner Dr. George Rowling noted the killer's skill with a knife at the trial. He was saying the killer who decapitated Mrs. Henry Moiti, he knew enough not to cut through the bone, but to cut through the joints. The head of the wife of the defendant had been very skillfully removed. Knowing the history of Henry as a butcher, and with the confession in March of 1928, Henry was found guilty in both cases and sentenced to 2 concurrent terms of life in prison. Henry began his sentence at the Louisiana State Penitentiary on July 6, 1928. He appears to have enjoyed a shocking independence for a man convicted of 2 brutal murders. In 1934, Henry was made a trustee of the prison, meaning that he was given responsibility for special assignments and was less heavily guarded than the other prisoners. In the summer of 1944, on a routine trip to the post office, which I cannot believe they just let him go to the post office.
He's just out there mailing letters.
Yep. Henry simply hired a taxi to take him to Hammond, Louisiana. From there, he caught the Illinois Central Panama Limited en route to Chicago. George Provosti, then superintendent of the prison camps in Louisiana, seemed unconcerned about this. He predicted that Henry would soon return of his own accord, since he had served 16 years of his sentence and had a chance of being pardoned due to a temporary insanity claim, which he was citing his consumption of alcohol at the time of the killings. This appeal for the pardon was rejected by the governor because no matter how drunk you are, you don't chop up two women's bodies and put them in trunks. I mean, I don't know. It wasn't until 2 years later in 1946, that's right, he had been on the run for 2 years, when Henry was stopped for suspicious behavior by police in St. Louis, Missouri, that he admitted his identity and he was returned to prison in Louisiana. Despite his 2 years of freedom, the Louisiana Pardon Board recommended for his release in 1947. On March 26, 1948, Governor Jimmy Davis signed the pardon. 21 years after killing his wife and sister-in-law and a 2-year escape, Henry Moiti was set free.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, it's not. I'm not even close to done.
Oh my God.
In 1959, as Jimmy Davis campaigned to regain his governor's seat, a reporter asked him why he paroled a man responsible for 2 horrendous homicides. Newspapers called it one of the worst murders of all time in the French Quarter. He said, "That's not on me." The parole board insisted, saying they should never have convicted him by reason of insanity in the first place. So he's like, it wasn't my fault, but he's the one that signed the pardon. Anyway,
Wow.
the Louisiana warden wrote a letter and claimed that Henry was one of the best prisoners we've ever had. Henry loved to paint and continued to do so while he was in prison. He painted a portrait of Huey Long, the Baton Rouge governor, which hung in the governor's mansion for many years. So clearly he was given such privileges to have access to paint and, I mean, going to the post office and all of those things. And they said he was a great prisoner.
I can't believe they let him. I'm still on that. You
I know.
pardoned the
And he
dude,
escaped for 2 years.
and they were like, "Oh, that's no big deal. You should have been free anyway. Here you go."
Well, his early release turned out to be a terrible mistake that nearly cost another young woman her life. After getting out of prison, Henry moved to California. At a Los Angeles hotel in 1956, Henry shot his girlfriend, Alberta Orange, in the chest, puncturing her lung. The California court sentenced Henry to 5 years in Folsom Prison. Unaware of the 2 concurrent life sentences the New Orleans court had handed down 2 decades earlier. In 1957, Henry Moiti died of a stroke in Folsom Prison, where he is buried. Throughout his trial and imprisonment, he insisted that he still loved his wife, even claiming to be married to her on a 1940s U.S. Census years after her death.
What?
Now, it seems we must have reached the end of this story, right?
Not when it's an Erin story.
Wrong. Don't think that I wouldn't mention a supposed ghost story that may have been inspired by the trunk murders of New Orleans. In Lyle Saxon's collection of Louisiana folktales, Gumbo Yaya, the sausage ghost legend tells of mid-19th century German immigrants, Mr. and Mrs. Hans Mueller, who opened a sausage factory on the ground floor of their property at 725 Ursuline Street, just a few doors down from where the Moiti family had lived. The story goes that Hans Mueller killed his wife and hid the crime by making sausages out of her body and serving them out of his butcher shop for weeks, only to be found out after a customer bit into a piece of Mrs. Mueller's wedding ring.
Oh my, no.
Her
Absolutely not.
Her ghost is said to have haunted the shop until Mueller went insane. The connection of Henry's previous butcher work, coupled with this very quote from the November 2nd, 1927 Times-Picayune article, were probably the gruesome inspiration for that story. Henry said, If I ever get my hands on that Joe Caruso, I'll chop him up into little pieces. Not big pieces like my wife, but little pieces. My God, I'll make him look like something that's been run through a sausage mill. My
Oh
sources
my
were the Atlas
God.
Obscura, Medium, the Historic New Orleans Collection, the Times-Picayune, and Bayou Justice.
Erin. Oh my God. That was an Erin story for sure. For
It was a
sure.
wild ride, right?
It was. And just when you thought we were done, oh no, there's more.
No,
But
just wait.
There's more.
There's more.
No, ma'am.
It's so crazy because the whole story, it felt like I was just uncovering more and more. And I didn't think, when I first read it, I was thinking, okay, it happened so quick. We don't have a whole lot of backstory on the people. Boom, murders have happened. They're finding fingers laying around.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get to the trying to find him. They find him as you go along through all of this. He's in prison, apparently a great prisoner, except for he escapes for 2 years, gets released not long after he comes back to prison, goes to California, shoots some girl with like the coolest name ever, Alberta Orange. Come on now. And then goes back to prison for just 5 years, or he was sentenced to 5 years. But they didn't even realize, because apparently the states didn't talk to each other, so they had no idea that he had had 2 life sentences prior to that. It's just wild.
Wild. Absolutely wild.
And then this sausage mill story that inspired this story in a book that they still talk about as if it was a real thing. It's just, I love it.
Mm-hmm. We don't have any connections.
No, based
not,
on all of that, there's no lady fingers.
No, there's absolutely no lady fingers.
Shit.
Or ghosts, or trunks. Mm-mm.
I mean, that was an epic one, and I'd never heard of it, so I was just blown away as I kept going and going and going.
This was definitely a good one for October.
Right?
For sure.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with Autumn's story. And we are back. Autumn needed a quick break to eat some sausages, and now we're on to her story.
I should know better than to just let you roll with whatever's going to come out of your mouth.
Honestly, I cannot help myself.
Always at my expense.
Well,
it's okay.
Luckily, you are a good sport for
true.
any of my shenanigans.
Since we were little.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
I just roll with the punches and usually believe them because I am super gullible.
That is a fact.
It's very, very true.
There was a time when Autumn was traveling for work.
Oh, God.
And
yes.
I would just Google creepy old photo.
Mm-hmm.
And I would send her that picture and be like, did you know? Wait, what room are you staying in? And she'd be like, 320.
She really would do this.
And I'd say, oh my gosh, did you hear what happened there? If you see this person, then they haunt that hotel. And then I make up an entire elaborate story. And Autumn's like, are you serious?
And then
you're
I'm
fucking
all,
with me.
Looking around.
And she'd be like, you're fucking with me. I'm like, yes, I am fucking with you. She's like, God damn it, Erin.
She's so good and so fast at it that I truly had to ask her if she was being serious.
Also, what a crappy friend I am.
You keep me on my toes. Never
That's
stop.
right.
Never
It's
stop.
exciting. You just never know what's going to happen.
Never. And you never know if she's telling the truth or not. So she's a good liar. True. Just know that.
I am, but I do always fess up to it because I can't keep up the charade too long.
This is true. It gets exhausting for her. She's like, never mind, I made it all up. Stop asking questions.
Or I'll just hit a wall and I'm like, okay, it's jinx up. This is what it is.
Yeah, the gig's up. I definitely lied to you.
Yeah.
Made it all up.
All in jest, though. I don't lie about anything important. Just of joking stories, usually with a coinciding photo of some nature.
Of some Victorian dressed ghost
Yes.
lady.
Terrifying looking
It's very
man in a
true.
top hat.
Yes, man in a top hat.
Yeah, I'm excellent at that.
This is true.
I
Very
did,
true.
when we went to San Francisco on a trip for one of Autumn's birthdays, I did book us in a haunted hotel.
This is true.
And we did go on murder tours and ghost tours.
And ghost tours. That
It was really
so
fun.
much fun. We have to do
It
that
was a
again.
good time.
We
10 out of
definitely-
10.
We definitely
Definitely do
recommend
that.
that. And then we went to Alcatraz on that trip as well.
That's right. We went to Alcatraz and we did we went to the Winchester Mystery House.
That was so fun.
It's
That
amazing.
was so fun.
Definitely
And
recommend to do the extended tour.
she thought I stepped on her foot,
That's true.
but I did not. Like, I truly did not. So
Yeah, I was like, did you just do that?
I was like, I was looking at her like, is Erin fucking with me?
Well,
Because
and Autumn
she
loves
fucks with me.
paranormal.
Yes, I do.
We had to go down this kind of creepy alleyway
In the Meat District.
No, we
No,
were
what
in
was it called?
Chinatown.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Chinatown.
So we were in Chinatown, and you walk down this alleyway where supposedly some horrific things had happened, and people say that they get touched. They asked if anybody would volunteer to go first, and I was like, "That's me. I will." I
And then
walked
she
out there.
made me come with her.
No. We had to go separate. Remember? I was standing out there, and nothing happened. I walked back, and I was like, "Nothing happened." And then you walked out by yourself, and there was like a string or something on the back of your shirt, and it moved. And you were like, who did that? And you were like 20 feet away from everybody, so clearly nobody did it. But it was we both had kind of like weird, sort of semi-paranormal experiences.
Someone touched my back. I'm pretty
There
sure.
was no
of
one
it.
there.
I'm pretty sure that's
It
what
was
happened.
a Victorian ghost
It was a Victorian ghost
named Gertrude.
Gertie.
Anyway.
Good old Gertie.
Oh, that was the name of my dog. Anyway,
I
all right.
was actually just talking about Gertie today.
She's a good gal.
She was one-eyed
Yeah.
Gertie.
One-eyed and short tail. She was real cute.
She honestly
Anywho,
was.
we're going to get back to this because we're going to hear about Autumn's story now.
This is true. We are going to hear about a case that has nothing to do with trunks or sausages. So
Damn it.
here we go. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, good. I'm going to be covering a case that haunted a small California town for decades and garnered national attention. The disappearance of Kristin Smart. Kristin Denise Smart, a bright, vibrant 19-year-old college student, vanished on Memorial Day weekend in 1996. For more than 25 years, her case remained unsolved, and her family fought tirelessly for answers. Today, I'm going to explore the timeline of her disappearance, the investigation that followed, and the recent developments that may finally bring closure to this tragic mystery. Kristin Smart was born on February 20th, 1977, in Augsburg, Germany, where her father was stationed in the military. The Smart family soon relocated to Stockton, California, where Kristin grew up with her younger brother and sister. Known for her outgoing personality, intelligence, and athleticism, Kristin was a free spirit with dreams of traveling the world. In 1995, Kristin enrolled at California Polytechnic State University, or Cal Poly, in San Luis Obispo. Her freshman year was typical of many young college students, full of hope, excitement, and making new friends. But it would be during this very year that Kristin's life would take a tragic turn. The night Kristin Smart went missing was the start of the Memorial Day weekend, May 25th, 1996. Like many students, Kristin was excited to go out and enjoy a few parties. That evening, she attended an off-campus party near Cal Poly. Kristin had gone out alone, a fact fact that later raised concerns among her friends and family. I don't recommend going to a party in college on your own ever.
I
Just
would
throwing that out
definitely
there.
I would definitely recommend to always share your location with your
Mhm.
friends.
Well, this was
And
like in 1996, so she didn't
I
have that
mean
option.
currently.
Yes.
If you were going out to parties now or anywhere, like anywhere
Mhm.
by yourself, I would recommend doing that
Absolutely.
cuz the technology's there. So
Mhm.
let's use it.
Yes. 100%. At the party, Kristin reportedly drank alcohol, but no one could have predicted how the night would end. When she decided to leave the party around 2 a.m., Kristin was offered assistance by fellow students Cheryl Anderson and Paul Flores. This is where things start to take a darker turn. Flores was the last person seen with Kristin as he walked her back toward her dorm. According to his own account, he left her near her dormitory and walked back to his own room. Kristin, however, never made it to her dorm. The next day, when Kristin didn't return to her room and missed a scheduled phone call from her parents, her friends grew worried. By Monday, when she failed to show up for classes, the alarm bells were truly starting to ring. In the days following Kristin's disappearance, her family and friends grew increasingly concerned, but it seemed that authorities did not share the same sense of urgency at first, which is so frustrating.
That's very frustrating.
The initial response to Kristin's disappearance was slow, as campus police believe she may have gone off on her own for a few days, a common assumption when young adults are involved. They
That's a
always
little
think that they're like a runaway or they just want some space and some time.
or like the case you did just the other day where they were, oh, she's just a young girl getting drunk or partying
Hmm.
too hard and want to label it that.
Natalie Holloway. Hmm.
That's it.
Yep. But Kristin's family knew better. This was completely out of character for her. It wasn't until several days later that a full-scale investigation was launched. The San Luis Obispo Sheriff's Department took over the case, but by then, critical time had already been lost. Paul Flores quickly became a person of interest. His story was inconsistent, and there were rumors that he had a reputation for being aggressive with women.
I hate that.
However, despite being the last person seen with Kristin, no arrests were made, and evidence was thin. Investigators focused on Flores, but without a body or substantial forensic evidence, the case went cold. Which, I mean, I
Well, if they didn't have anything to go off of.
I know. This guy's just so problematic. It just makes me like the history he had with it's just frustrating.
No, it is frustrating.
For years, Kristin Smart's disappearance remained a painful mystery. Her family never gave up hope. But with every year that passed, it seemed like they were no closer to finding out what happened to their daughter. In 2002, Kristin was declared legally dead, even though her body had never been recovered. During these years, rumors circulated around San Luis Obispo. Many believed that Paul Flores knew more than what he was letting on. So,
Especially with his history.
yes, some suspected that Flores's family may have been involved in covering up Kristin's death.
Mhm.
Despite repeated efforts by investigators and pleas from Kristin's family, the case stagnated for over 2 decades. In 2016, on the 20th anniversary of Kristin's disappearance, there was renewed interest in the case. The Smart family continued their tireless campaign for justice, working with private investigators and keeping Kristin's name in the media spotlight. Then, and I just love this, then in 2019, the podcast, Your Own Backyard by Chris Lambert brought widespread attention to the case again. The series
Wow.
provided a detailed investigation into the circumstances of Kristin's disappearance and brought new information to light, pushing authorities to take a closer look at Paul Flores once more.
I love that.
Isn't that amazing? Because
It is.
honestly, the reason why we do our podcast is to get mysterious cases out there, names heard.
Absolutely.
This person, you have to listen to the podcast if you want to know more in-depth details. There's just so many details. It's a whole series. It's several episodes long, and he does an amazing job.
That's amazing. I love that.
It's so detailed, and honestly, it changed this family's life.
I'm sure.
Finally, in April 2021, more than 25 years after Kristin vanished, a breakthrough came. Paul Flores was arrested and charged with her murder. His father, Ruben Flores, was also charged with being an accessory after the fact, accused of helping his son hide Kristin's body.
Oh my God.
The arrest followed years of renewed investigations, including searches at the Flores family property, where evidence of human remains was reportedly found. While Kristin's body has never been recovered, this development gave her family and the public hope that justice was finally within reach. In October 2022, after a lengthy trial, Paul Flores was convicted of Kristin Smart's murder. His father, Ruben, was acquitted of the accessory charge, which is freaking frustrating.
Yeah.
But while the verdict brought a sense of relief and closure for many, the lingering question did remain. Where is Kristin's body?
Yeah.
For her family, the fight continues. They still long to bring Kristin home, and despite the conviction, the search for her remains is ongoing.
Wait, didn't you say that they found human remains on their property?
They found evidence that there were human remains.
Ah.
So what the theory is that his father, Ruben, helped him bury Kristin on their property and then later moved the body.
Okay.
And so they have no evidence that she...
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's no actual human remains, but there
DNA or anything.
Yes, but there's evidence that there was human remains.
Okay.
And that's why he got acquitted. But it's frustrating because clearly he was
helped.
involved.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
While the conviction of Paul Flores marks a major step forward, it's important to remember that the case is not entirely closed. Kristin's body has yet to be found, and the Smart family continues to seek closure in this tragic chapter of their lives. This case also highlights the importance of persistence in cold cases, the critical role of the media and the public in keeping these stories alive, and the impact that the podcasts like Your Own Backyard can have of bringing long forgotten cases back into the spotlight. I just honestly can't say enough about the importance of bringing new technology into old cases. This Paul Flores thought that he was free and clear, that he had told this lie, that he was not going to get caught. And then some crime junkie was like, bet, and did a whole podcast series on him, enough to where they reopened the case and he's arrested and behind bars now.
That's amazing. It's also reminds me a little bit of I'll Be Gone in the Dark.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know, that they found the Golden State Killer because of someone's persistence that wasn't an investigator.
Yes.
You know, sometimes it just takes that little bit to spark someone's memory of something. I mean, all of Unsolved Mysteries is based on hoping that someone would remember something or know something or turn themselves in or anything. It's just trying to spark a little bit to find so much more. And we're getting more cases closed now because of DNA and things like that. It's kind of incredible how far we've come.
I would agree. 100%. My sources were Your Own Backyard, the podcast, NBC News, Los Angeles Times, Dateline, the San Luis Obispo Tribune, and Wikipedia.
Wow.
What
That
they
was,
what they
I just hope they can
theorize.
figure out. I wish, obviously, I wish that all killers confessed, but
Mhm.
I wish that, you've already been caught. You're already convicted of murder. Does he
Yes.
try to claim that he's innocent?
Oh yeah, he's
Okay.
saying he didn't do it.
Okay. Because
But
otherwise, I'd be like, just fucking tell her family where she is so they can bury their kid. Like, stop it.
yes. He was the last person to walk. What they think happened, and obviously this is all alleged because he's never confessed and they don't
Sure.
have a body, is that they believe that when they were walking home, that he had tried to woo her or have sex with her or take her back to his place or have her and him go back to his place or her place, and she refused his advances and that made him angry. And
Mm,
so they believe that he raped and killed her, but obviously they don't have a
sure.
body, so this is all alleged. And so you know
Yeah.
how we don't like to just say things that are not facts, but
Hmm.
that is the ongoing theory. And
Well, and given his violent
yes,
history
his
or his
violent
anger
history,
issues.
his
Yeah.
anger issues, the way he was aggressive with women,
Hmm.
and the witnesses seeing them together on the walk home, like
Yeah.
he clearly was interested in her
And he was there,
and he was
right?
there. Yes.
You know,
He was there. There's no question that he walked her
pretty,
home.
it's pretty fucked that his dad helped him.
Oh yeah, the podcast literally, because the Your Own Backyard is episodes long. It's
Yeah.
very intense and there's a lot of information, but his family was not upstanding people. Like they definitely
Tried to
were.
cover it up.
Yes, they tried to cover it up. They were always trying to protect him. Obviously you want to protect your children, but I mean, come on.
There has
There's
to be
there
a
has to be a
level of,
line.
yeah. Yeah. I
This
mean, you love your kids, but there's also lessons to be learned in that. Like,
mhm.
don't kill people or you're going to go to prison.
Right, one
I
would
mean,
think.
those things, you're not going to cover up a murder. And if you
No.
are, then you're fucked and you're not a good
Yes.
parent.
I mean, she was a college student starting out her life.
Yeah,
And because she said no to this man, she's no longer here.
exactly. That's why it's important to vote for women's rights.
Yes.
Not to all of a sudden change it to a political thing, but you guys, women are starting to get into scary territories again where we're less respected or cared about what happens to us or our
Mhm.
bodies. So,
Mhm.
as we are nearing that, I just want to put a quick PSA out there to remember that to protect ourselves, we need to vote as if you are protecting the people that you love and care about
Because you are.
because you are. We had no connections.
Yeah, none. That was the first
Not a
time.
one. Not a one.
That was the first time. I mean, the
Not even
only
close.
connection would be that a man killed a woman.
Fair. That's literally it.
That's the only thing.
Yeah. Well, hopefully her family finds some sort of closure at
Mhm.
least. And eventually, the bodies don't just completely go away.
No.
So something will be found.
Yes, I
And
have faith.
when that happens, we will always do a follow up.
Oh, yes. Yes. 100%.
Now, if you are interested in anything or you have some, not anything, if you have any cases that you would like us to cover, or if you have you would like more information, you can always DM us on Instagram. It's also where we are going to post pictures of uh, things pertaining to the case, and you'll find about new episodes when they drop and all of that information. So do follow us on Instagram at Murder Not Murdering. And I think we will see you next week and we'll see what I dig up next.
I know. It's October. You just never know.
You just never know.
Spooky season.
We need a good Halloween episode.
I think you're going to like the one I have.
Oh, I haven't started research yet, but it's going to be a doozy, I'm sure.
Yes, you're going to like the one I have.
Oh, I can't wait. All right. We will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for listening and supporting us. You have no idea how important it is to us and that you give a shit that we're out here
Yes.
talking about this.
Yes.
It means a lot.
It does.
It means a lot to us.
It really does.
So we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.